What's up? Welcome back to the Bud Light Southern Power Poll here on SouthernPigskin.com. Jim Johnson, Ben Troop with me, breaking down the top 12 teams in our coverage area, the ACC, SEC, and the Sun Belt. Ben, Alabama holding strong at number one. Won last week. Now, Tua got hurt. We can address this in the future. I think they'll take care of business against Arkansas. It's fine. But LSU in the not-too-distant future, which does bring us to number 2 LSU, they are hosting Auburn this weekend, and I want to ask you because it kind of gets covered up. The way that they won last week against Mississippi State, you look at the game, say, okay, everything was fine. They covered the big spread. But, especially in the first half, Bob Shoop, give him credit, the defensive coordinator for Mississippi State, did some cool stuff, brought some corner blitzes. He was basically trying to attack Joe Burrow and shut down the run. They shut down the run effectively. Now, you're not going to stop that passing game. Maybe you can slow it down some, but I wonder if Kevin Steele and all that talented Auburn defensive line, when Nick Saban gets to look at that game film, if Florida were to meet LSU again in the SEC championship and you get another shot there with a healthy John Grenard and Jabari Zuniga, if that tape from early on in that game could be used by these better defensive coordinators with better defensive personnel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing about Mississippi State is they gave you the blueprint. The only thing that, at the end of the day, Mississippi State just ran out of horse. They're just not good enough as a team and as a defense to sustain that in the second half. But, of course, I mean, you add guys like Jabari Zuniga, you add guys like Grenard, and you add better players on that side of the ball. You're talking about Henderson and different guys that's used to even blitzing. Absolutely. Now, listen, give LSU a lot of credit. Mississippi State came out with, the problem was they came out with everything they had the first half, kind of around again the second half. But look, 29 touchdowns by Joe Burrow, man. He's playing lights out right now. But yeah, Nick Saban going to take all that. He's going to be like, okay, they incorporated that. But at the same time, you still going to have to be able to control an LSU offense that can beat you in the run game, and you see what Joe Burrow and those receivers are doing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you can stop LSU's passing game. You can maybe contain it a little bit, but you can slow that offense down if you stop the run and give Joe Burrow some problems. You know, Cam Dantzler, Mississippi State cornerback, got home once on a corner blitz, and Kevin Steele, Auburn's DC, one of the best in the game. Yeah. Obviously, Nick Saban. If Todd Grantham got another shot at him, I just think that's something worth keeping an eye on. Clemson. You know, I mean, they're pretty easy schedule.
Yeah, whenever you get the quality control coach from Louisville going crazy before the game, I said, listen, he don't got to play in the game because if you saw the game, Clemson getting back to their old way to just dominate on both sides of the ball.
Trevor Lawrence, 2 more interceptions.
Yeah, man. The thing about Trevor Lawrence, I don't know what it is about that, athlete, even though he didn't have a Heisman Trophy winning year, he won, 15-0 and first true freshman to do it. It's like you start getting comfortable. I kept telling BJ going into this season, he's not going to have the same season. He got Ross, he got Higgins. Yeah, but he's also throwing the ghosts. They aren't there. They won those 50-50 balls last year, but hey, you can have them giving up 2 picks when you got Louisville, but that's going to change when you start getting competition that meet the talent threshold on both sides of the ball.
Well, and with all due respect, based on what we've seen so far, that offense needs to run through Travis Etienne. We saw what he did, even on not that many carries in that game. And granted, he did, I think, leave late, a little bit banged up. I think he'll be fine going forward. But it should be Etienne's show, and then using the passing game as a compliment. Yeah,
Etienne is one of those guys where you just sit back and scratch your head and say, this is the only toy you need in the box. I don't need no other toy. You're going to use Etienne in the run game and the pass game? Yes, because they cannot stop it either or. But the thing about Trevor Lawrence, his toy box is full of the best toys in the chest, and he can use anyone at his disposal. But yeah, Etienne, big-time player.
Georgia and Florida at 4 and 5. They're both off this week, preparing for one another in Jacksonville. 2 weeks from now, Georgia coming off of a shutout performance where they got shut out themselves in the first half. It was a little better in the second half, and there was pouring rain. Yeah. Same thing in the South Carolina game for Florida. Closer probably than the final score, but again, especially without Grenard and Zuniga, I think that's a pretty good performance.
Yeah, the thing about the Georgia game is I do agree with DeAndre Swift. People don't like the manner in which Georgia wins, not that they win. You're getting criticized more in a win than you are in a loss. I mean, people going to look at the fact that, they won't even let Jake Fromm throw the football. Did you see the conditions? But, I mean, at the same time, Georgia's the team, and you know what they want to do. Got back to what they do. run on first down, run on second down, run on third down. Not a lot is being said about that Georgia defense. I mean, I know it's Kentucky, but they put a stranglehold on the entire Kentucky offense, and you see what those guys are going to do, build a confidence as they get closer to Jacksonville. And Florida, what can't be said about Kyle Trask that hasn't been said already? The guy, listen, he just continues to play well. People are going to talk about the throws he missed, but when people talk about spreading the ball around, I don't think nobody does it better than him. I mean, you got, 7 receivers average over 10 yards a catch. You know, Kyle Pitts continue to show the world he's one of the best tight ends in the country. Oh, man, Mr. Damian Pierce, 75-yard TD, even though people are going to talk about, the call or no call, on Tyree Cleveland. But, yeah, both Georgia and Florida playing some really, really good football. Hopefully going to get some guys back healthy before, November 2nd. But, yeah, man, Georgia and Florida, man, I mean, they're on a crash course, and obviously they're going to get to settle their differences here real soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game more next week, but I do think it's flipped since the preseason, right? Like, I would have expected going into this game, I want to see Georgia's offense against Florida's defense. It's the opposite for me. Georgia's offensive play calling has been atrocious. Now, granted, Florida's defense is exciting when healthy, but they haven't been healthy. But on the flip side, and I wrote about this on Southern Pigskin, maybe you agree, I think Florida needs to abandon balance for the sake of balance. They have not been able to run the ball because that offensive line is just not even close to what it was last year. The receivers are awesome. Kyle Pitts is a matchup nightmare.
Yes.
And Kyle Trask has earned the right to carry that offense.
He is, and the thing about it is too, people gonna look at the end. They're gonna look at the rushing yards at the end of the game. You got to put it into context. I mean, exactly 75-yard run for Damian Pierce against South Carolina, 80-something yard run against Auburn. For Michael P. Ryan, you take those big runs away. You average less than 3 yards a carry. I just think that sometimes people say you're going to play into the hands of the defense. Yeah, but you're going to go with the best matchup. You got Grimes, you got Copeland, you got Pitts, you got Hammond, you got Swain. Oh, and you might get Ladarius Toney back, for the Florida-Georgia game. But, yeah, I just think that Kyle Trask is the guy that's not being talked about enough because people are going to say, hey, can you win because of him? Yes, because most time when the backup coming, you got to win in spite of him. Kyle Trask, man, been getting it done.
But they will have a challenge against that Georgia defense, really stingy pass defense. Even without an elite pass rush, that secondary is just something else.
Yeah.
Auburn's there at 6. We've mentioned them traveling to LSU. They're going to have their hands full there, but maybe a little bit of blueprint from last week. Texas A&M at 7. They're going to Mississippi State. I still don't know what to make of them.
Yeah.
They won close against Ole Miss, but man, they are just so. They're a mystery to me.
Yeah, Kellen Mond and that Texas A&M offense didn't take the next step. People go. I know. We speaking of tight ends like with Kyle Pitts and things of that nature. Texas A&M had the number 1 tight end in the country. In their recruiting class, get hurt. And you see what a tight end does for an offense as far as like being an inline blocker, mismatch nightmare. But yeah, Texas A&M goes as Kellen Mond goes. And unfortunately right now, Kellen Mond isn't really transitioning. But hey, if they can't get a win this week, it's they're gonna be battling to even look halfway presentable at the end of the year.
Yeah, and then App State's in there at 8, still undefeated. Really ran through ULM last week. They're at South Alabama, should take care of business. And that one, Virginia, really stunned me. I know some folks around the office and the Power Poll voters were not that surprised, but the way that they beat Duke was so impressive to me, especially after losing Bryce Hall.
The thing about Virginia, man, it's a head scratcher. I mean, just when you think, okay, Duke's going to come in and have their way with Virginia, they dominated Duke on both sides of the ball. And you mentioned not having, which to me, I mean, taking nothing away from C.J. Henderson and even stinging those guys from LSU. Bryce Hall is the best cornerback in the country when he's healthy. To not have him and to still be out there and have a stingy defense, hey, shout out to them UVA guys. That's the thing about Virginia and the ACC. Just when you think you don't know, I'm thinking, I got Duke penciled in, Coach Cutcliffe, no Daniel Jones, no problem. No. UVA said, look, we tired of being a team that's kind of like, here today, going tomorrow. They put their best performance of the year together, and obviously Duke was on the Duke had to deal with that.
Yeah, and I think Devontae Cross moved from safety to cornerback for them. He did a good job on that one. It's a 2-horse race to me, and look, it's ACC Coastal. There will probably be plenty more chaos before it's all said and done, but right now it looks like Virginia or Pitt. Pitt's coming in there at number 10. Virginia does have the inside track with the head-to-head win, but that one will probably come down to the wire. And again, ACC Coastal, plenty more chaos to come. They're in the Atlantic. Wake Forest, they're hanging on to the 11 spot. Did get a win last week. They're on a bye this week. And then hanging on to number 12, South Carolina. They have a losing record.
Yeah.
We still have them at number 12 in the power poll.
Well, listen, South Carolina, I mean, that schedule has been brutal thus far, man. I mean, make no mistake about it. I mean, not too many people already done played Alabama, still got Clemson down the road, played Florida very, very hard. But look, I think that when you look at this South Carolina team, I mean, we talking about, no, they're not. You're dealing with a backup QB. You're dealing with the fact that you still got an incredible schedule ahead of you, and when most teams are still trying to get that rhythm going. But I give them a lot of credit, man. I mean, the South Carolina team went to Georgia last week with a guy that never played quarterback, got a big win, was able to get their backup back against Florida. I think the weather kind of dictated the game a lot, but I think South Carolina is still a very, very resilient bunch. They kind of resemble, Will Muschamp had that never say die mentality. They're not going to be a problem for Clemson. But I still think, man, they got some games coming up. They could definitely put a scare in some of these teams.
And they are at Tennessee this week. For Ben Troop, I'm Jim Johnson. This has been your Bud Light Southern Power Poll on SouthernPigskin.com.